Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Garden of Sports. We're your hosts today, Zachary Gardner and Jake Gardner.
Hello, hello.
And today we bring you our fantasy football Week 13 breakdown and Week 14 prep episode. We got surprises of the week, followed by some storylines, some injury news, top trade targets, buy low and sell high trade targets, and of course we wrap it up with scoop 'em up. So let's jump into this episode.
Heck yeah, dude.
So started off with some surprises. Just chime in if you have anything to add to these, Jake. George Kittle went off this week, 35 points. I think we're recording this on Monday before the Monday night game. So as of right now, top performer of the week so far with 35 points. Is he back to form?
Yeah, it looks like it was a good thing that held him out so long, and they wanted to make sure he was ready for a playoff push. I mean, they did just lose, but you know they still have a chance, and they're playing really good football. So
yeah, if you look over in the NFC, that second wild card spot is kind of just wide open.
I don't know. I mean, looking into it a little bit, is Deebo Samuel was out, right? So they used Kittle more in this game, but still nice to see.
Exactly. And then another tight end went off this week, Dallas Goddard with 25 points. Is this sustainable because he went off with Gardner Minshew, who, you know, might not be a multi-week starter at this point, you know?
It was a Jets game.
Yeah.
But it's definitely sustainable. I mean, they got rid of Zach Ertz, and he's the number 4 tight end before this game. So, or is that with this game? Does it calculate before the week is over? I thought it had to wait until the week was over.
No, I think it does wait until the week is over.
Okay, well, he was already number 4 then. And
he just hasn't had a week like this where, you know, he's been number 4 because he gets like 12 every week. But
he's actually had a lot of mediocre weeks, but yeah, he gets more than 0, which a lot of tight ends will just get 0 or some, like they'll get 10 or 0, but he'll consistently get some points. No, probably not. It was the Jets. So
okay, so maybe not 25 points every week, but he's still, you know, serviceable for sure.
Yeah, and then they have a bye week, and then they play Washington twice, the Giants, and Dallas. So I wouldn't say he's going off, but he can still do decent.
Yeah. And then David Montgomery had a great game with 24 fantasy points. And he could have done better. They ended up taking a touchdown that I thought he scored away from him. But so he could have finished the day with 30 points. But is it sustainable, or is he a sell high?
Sustainable. He's the best offensive player on the field.
Yes, and don't you think every other team knows that, though, don't they?
Well, yeah, so did Arizona. They knew they were starting Dalton. I mean, so they knew they had to focus David Montgomery.
Well, I also think David Montgomery kind of surprised Arizona. And not just David Montgomery, but I think the Bears surprised Arizona with how many screen passes they were throwing. I haven't seen the Bears throw that many screen passes, I don't think, in my ever in my life. So, I
think after next week, David Montgomery has like a gold end of season schedule. He plays Green Bay, I think they have a pretty decent defense. Next week, he'll probably still do good, and then they play Minnesota, Seattle, Giants, Minnesota.
Yeah,
and we know he's their best player.
Yeah, so
I mean, I wouldn't sell out. I think you could ride him to the championship.
Ride him to the championship. Okay, good to hear. Good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
For all the David Montgomery owners out there, that's good news. Next, T. Higgins had another great week. We were talking about him as a sell high last week, and then this week he comes back with another 20-plus point game. You think he's still a sell high, or do you think he's a viable wide receiver 2 or flex option?
2 huge weeks in a row, and I'm kicking myself. I traded him away, actually, right before those 2 weeks. Because, I needed other positions, and he wasn't doing much yet. But I would say still it's sell high to me. I mean, It was Pittsburgh and then the Chargers. I don't know, man. I just feel like eventually it's just going to go right back to Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of agree with you. I mean,
but these are 2 huge weeks you can't ignore, so it's a really tough one.
I think that you could try and work a trade out or be comfortable with him as like a flex. You know, if you can't get a trade done, I feel like just why not try and throw him out, you know, toss him out there, see if anybody bites on him. And then my next surprise.
I mean, try to trade for like a wide receiver who's ranked above him a bit.
Yeah.
But now he is questionable. I don't know what he tweaked, but tweaked his ankle during the contest.
Okay.
But isn't expected to miss any time, so you should be good.
Okay. And then these next guys kind of aren't as of note guys, so we don't need to spend as much kind of time on these guys. But
Deontay Johnson had the best week of his season so far, and he was already one of the most consistent wide receivers. And we talked about that last week. He was ranked number 9 with just like a lot of 10-point weeks. He just wasn't having slow weeks. I think his best week before this was 16.1, but now, 22.5 is by far his best in a half PPR. He got 2 touchdowns, 105 yards. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's a guy you would want if you don't have him, but it's going to be really hard to get him now. And
I wasn't even planning on putting him in surprises.
He is a surprise though, because it was his best week of the year, and
okay.
You didn't necessarily think he was ever scoring plus 20 a lot because of his QB.
Right.
That's what we were talking about last week, just that he'll keep getting you around 10, and it's really consistent.
Yeah. And then next guy, another Deontay, just under him in the alphabetical order. Or no, actually, never mind. Deontay Harris had a great game, 18 fantasy points. We're going to be talking about him later in our scoops, but kind of a surprise for sure. I mean, not a lot of New Orleans receivers have been on lighting it up this season. So.
Yeah, it's just kind of like the team's a dumpster fire, so I don't know if he's like a must grab, but it's someone to take a flyer on.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, at least in a lot of leagues that I'm in, there's not, it's kind of slim pickings out there. So, next guy, another surprising wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown had a great game, 19 fantasy points. So I'm just wondering, you kind of got 2 choices here. You either scoop him up or you sacrifice a goat in his name, because that's sounds like an Egyptian god.
Oh my god. Amon-Ra, just because he has Ra in his name? Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, you know.
Yeah.
19 fantasy points for Detroit. I don't know. Is this a guy that might have a good finish to the year? Could be like a sneaky...
one of those finishers that helps you win the chip.
Yeah.
I know 2 years ago let's just use this as an example. So 2 years ago in our family league, which is our most competitive league, it's 12 teams. Ayuk was like the big grab at the end to win Kyle the championship.
Yeah.
What was your grab last year?
Oh, last year grab?
Grab anybody to win? Because I know you won it last year.
No, last year was just great drafting.
Same old team. You didn't make any moves. You're a move maker.
I made no moves. That was just the God team.
Shut up, dude. You didn't make any bench moves.
Honestly, I am sure I did make a ton of moves, but it wasn't a waiver ad that I remember that I really made that helped me so much. It was more a trade that I made right in the middle of the season. I traded for Deandre Swift literally a week before he started going off from like mid-season to the end of the season. Okay. And he really helped me because he was my 3rd running back. So he was able to be like my flex every week, getting me like 15 to 20 right after I traded for him. So that was definitely the biggest move that helped me. And then the other thing that really helped me last year was getting Stephon Diggs in like the 11th round. He ended up finishing as like the number 3 wide receiver, and I drafted him super late. So, I mean, that really helped me as well. But those were kind of like the main things. And I had Alvin Kamara, who obviously in the championship week got me 56 points.
Oh, yeah, that was that week. Jeez.
Yeah.
I would love to see the percentage of teams that just won because of Alvin Kamara, like won last year and they had him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure a lot, because he not only did, I mean, that was just super great in that a lot of leagues championships weeks, but he was phenomenal all last season. So he definitely helps get you a lot of teams wins. I'm sure there's a ton of teams that owned him last year that won their leagues.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, running back, kind of a surprise this week. Kenneth Gainwell had a great game, 17 fantasy points. I don't know if it's sustainable because they were kind of leaning on him because there was a ton of injuries. Like we talked about Miles Sanders re-injuring his ankle, and there was Boston Scott was dealing with some. Boston Scott was dealing with his illness, and Jordan Howard was out with a knee injury. So like Gainwell was kind of like the last guy left standing. But if some of those guys come back, but it's good to. He might be a nice ad for a week or two if some of those guys are still going to be out.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, big surprise, Travis Homer had a great game, 17 fantasy points. A lot of injuries on Seattle. He looks like he's going to be the starting back for the foreseeable future. We don't know when Alex Collins is going to be back now. And they have some other guys maybe coming back next week, but Homer looks like, for now, he's the main running back.
Okay.
And then worth mentioning, Russell Gage had another good week. He was one of our top scoops last week. 16.5 fantasy points, really kind of had his breakout game for the season, I think, right now. I think this could be a jumping off point. He could be one of those stud finishers.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that could hurt him is if, like, for some reason Calvin Ridley came back. But I doubt that's happening.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he's got a nice hold on that number one receiver role right now.
Mm-hmm.
And looks like he's got a nice trust building with Matt Ryan.
Yeah, maybe they'll get a win or something.
They're close. They're close. Baby steps. But lastly, on surprises, I was just kind of surprised. The Colts defense, number one defense this week so far. Are they a defense to add for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, they were already, I don't know how likely you are to get them now. They were already ranked number 4.
Well, they were ranked, I picked them up last week. They were ranked number 7. They just, last week with their good week, they got into the top 10. Now they're definitely going to be into like maybe the top 5, number 6.
Okay, so it does calculate their most recent game then. Now they're number 4. That's what I'm saying. I think they updated.
Gotcha.
At least ESPN updated how they adjust. But yeah, they're number 4. They're up to 78.3% owned. So they could still be available in your league, but the time might be gone now.
So even if somebody,
you don't want to own them, they're going to be dropped because it's a bye week, and then they play New England, and then they play Arizona. So I think people just grabbed them because they were playing Houston.
I think that's the main reason. That's the reason I grabbed them. Yeah.
So now people might just be streaming a different defense. So you might still be able to grab them if you really want them. But they're going to struggle against New England and Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, depending on how long your league goes, then you'll have the Raiders and Jaguars are week 18, but most leagues don't go to 18.
Right. Okay.
But they could be good against the Raiders in week 17 if your league goes that long.
That's a lot of championship. That's a lot of championship weeks.
I think that is championship weeks. Yeah.
So maybe they're worth a hold until then.
Yeah, if you have room.
Yeah, if you have room. So that's all my surprises. I don't know if anybody else surprised you, Jake.
No, I think we covered a lot. Let's go into storylines.
Yeah, so I'll let you take this one here.
Are Cardinals the team to beat in the NFC now that they are at full strength? No, I don't.
You don't think so? Because I mean, they did. Guys coming back from injury, you never know how they're going to go. And Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins looked great
against the Bears.
Against the Bears,
That's not like a statement game. Like if they did that against Green Bay or something.
I don't know. I think it is. They were on the road. It was not great conditions. It was rainy, wet, cold, and that's.
We're missing
I don't know.
a bunch of our
I thought it was
guys.
impressive, even against Chicago. I mean, that's bare weather. That's bare weather, man. You can't just go out there in the cold and just play that good all the time.
Well, the reason they have the number one seed or the number one record is because of their, was it a 7-0 start?
8-0 start.
8-0, so then they're 2-2 since the 8-0 start.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to show a little longer. They've won 2 in a row, so they had 2 losses in a row and won 2 in a row. They have to show a little longer streak here for me because I think Packers are still the best team. I think they're the team to beat.
Yeah, but
the Buccaneers are coming back to form.
That's true, but the Packers, if let's just say the Cardinals win out and they finish, what would that be, 15-2? They're the number 1 seed. Green Bay's not as good a team on the road. If they have to go to Arizona. I just think that with Kyler Murray fully healthy and a healthy DeAndre Hopkins and those two good running backs that they have, I just feel like they could beat anybody any week.
Yeah, I'm just not sold yet because they have.
Honestly, you could probably they might be a good bet right now for a Super Bowl champion. You might be able to make some money off of them because they're probably not going to be the most favored. Well, maybe they will be because of their record. So I don't know. But we'll move on to the next one. Are the Rams back? Because it was against Jacksonville.
They're back because they had a bye week, and they really needed that to rest up their QB, and just a lot of players were banged up, and I think they're just going to go on a hot streak now again. So I think they're back. I don't think they're number 1 in the NFC by any means, but they're not going to go on a losing streak again.
Okay, because there still were some things noticeable to me. At least I was watching a bit of that game, and Odell Beckham does not look like he fits on this team yet. He is not.
He just scored a touchdown.
He may have late in the game, but I kind of watched like the first half, and then I kind of went on to other things. But at least from what I saw, him and Matthew Stafford were not on the same page. Maybe they got better as the game went on, but that's just...
No, he didn't go off. The touchdown was the only thing that saved him in fantasy.
Okay.
But what do I talk about that they're coming up? They've won 2 games in a row then, right? Or did they lose against Green Bay?
They lost. They lost, yeah.
Last week. Okay, I was mixing up my weeks. He looked good against Green Bay, though, and he had a touchdown against them as well. So they're building chemistry.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Rams were on a 3-game losing streak then?
Yeah, they were on a 3-game losing streak.
Out of their bye, or 4?
I think a 4-game losing streak. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they were undefeated. So they kind of needed it.
Yeah, next week is I think it's going to tell a lot more for us on Arizona or the Rams. They play each other week 14. So I think that'll be deciding for me on who's actually going to be a contender.
Okay.
That's going to be crazy. That's going to be a high shootout game. That could be both plus 30. Jeez.
Yeah, that's crazy. We'll move on to my last.
The Rams have a nice, easy... Not easy. Okay. No, it's not an easy schedule. Never mind. It's easy to score. It's not like they're just going to win, though, because they're playing some good teams. They play Arizona, Seattle, Minnesota, Baltimore, San Francisco. So, yeah, they need to win 3 of the next 5 to make the playoffs. That's for sure.
I think they'll make the playoffs.
They could get knocked out.
That would be crazy if they didn't make the playoffs.
But if they only beat the easy teams out of because Arizona, Baltimore, and San Francisco can all beat them.
True.
They need to beat Seattle and Minnesota, and then at least one of the other 3.
Okay.
Or they could be in trouble in my eyes. But
that's gonna be good television.
Yeah. Next week's a big statement game for them.
Big statement game. Tune in for that one. I'm sure a lot of people will. Last storyline, kind of wanted us to talk about kind of a fun little topic here. Is there quarterback controversy in Philly?
No.
Because Minshew mania, you know, we thought it was over, but here we go. You know, he comes in and just lights it up.
No,
I don't know, man.
I don't agree. Why would they? The only reason it's not like Hurts was benched. He's a great QB so far this year.
Yeah, he was hurt. I mean, he's hurt. That's the reason Minshew played. But I mean, is Minshew going to play himself into being the quarterback?
Hurts is only expected to miss one game, so he should play.
Well,
and they have a bye week 14.
That was before Gardner Minshew took the field and rallied them to victory against the super team Jets.
No, you know what? You're not convincing me. Let's get into injury news. That's not happening, bro.
Okay, I just said, that
would be really stupid of
had great command of that offense
and the coaching to do that. That'd be really
Minshew
stupid.
Mania.
No.
Okay, well, we'll move on to injury news.
He's the best backups in the league.
Sure, I mean, okay, I'll take that as a win for me, for my argument. Okay, yeah. Jalen Hurts. Injury news. We'll move on to some injury news. Seamless transition. We're great at those. Jalen Hurts. Because you see how I did that? I had him at the top because we just talked about Philly. So Jalen Hurts missed Sunday's game with an ankle injury. He's expected back next week, so I think Minshew will be back holding the clipboard. But I just wanted to have a little fun topic there. And then Justin Fields' ribs didn't play Sunday, and we can discuss this for a little bit here. Will he start it all the rest of the season, or do you think they're just gonna?
Let's not dwell too far into injuries, dude. Let's just.
Do you think they're? Do you think that he's gonna sit the rest of the season though, or do you think he'll come back? I just wanted real quickly.
They'll play him when he's healthy.
Okay. Daniel Jones didn't play Sunday with a neck injury. I feel like he'll be back if he's healthy.
Yeah, we all knew that neck was due. He's got a long ass neck, so eventually that thing was going to get hurt.
They got just start calling them the giraffe quarterback team because they got their backup is Mike Glennon.
Jesus,
they got the two long necks on
the two giraffes together. Glennon must grab, guys. You heard it here first.
Dalvin Cook missed Sunday's game with a shoulder injury. He's expected back next week.
Okay.
Deandre Swift missed Sunday's game with a shoulder injury. They expecting him back next week or the week after, so it's not a long-term thing with him either. And then Melvin Gordon missed Sunday's game with a hip injury. No timetable for his return yet. Be monitoring that if you're a Melvin Gordon owner. And then Darrell Henderson didn't play Sunday with a thigh injury. He was available if needed on Sunday, but he ended up not seeing the field because Sony Michelle was doing everything just fine, so they didn't need to put him in. So he'll definitely be back next week he was like an emergency backup running back this week.
Nice.
And then Alex Collins didn't play Sunday with an abdomen injury. There's been no updates as of yet, so be monitoring that situation. J.D. McKissick didn't play Sunday with a concussion. This one seems like it's going to be more of a long-term thing, and he's a backup anyway. So, and then Jordan Howard didn't play Sunday with a knee injury. No timetable on his return. And then Deebo Samuel didn't play Sunday with a groin injury, but he's expected back soon. So either next week or the week after, they'll be bringing him back. And then Allen Robinson didn't play Sunday with a hamstring injury. I personally would not expect him back anytime soon. I don't see the point why he would even
he doesn't want to come back either.
Yeah,
he knows it's the dump spire.
He's looking out for his future, so.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, which is very sad. I wanted him to break the Bears receiving record.
We were strong holding them anyway, dude. He wanted out. I mean.
Yeah.
I don't really like that. I don't like that tag thing. That's bullcrap.
I don't know. If you're Allen Robinson.
Not in any other league.
He got 18 point whatever million for it, so I wouldn't be too upset, but
yeah, but it's if you want to leave or you're trying to get contracts elsewhere, and then I just don't get how that's allowed, that franchise tag. That's dumb.
Yeah. Corey Davis played on Sunday, but re-aggravated his groin injury. Doesn't sound good, so just monitor it going forward. I would imagine that he misses next week.
Okay.
And then Darren Waller, lastly, didn't play Sunday with a knee injury. It sounds serious, but there's not really any updates on it as of right now. So just be monitoring it this week, see if he's practicing or anything like that. So
Dude,
that's injury news.
What a lost year.
Yeah.
Drafted probably as the number 3, top 3 tight end he was drafted.
Yeah, he was definitely like a top 5 draft pick.
He's the number 13. He's hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, like even the weeks he was playing, he didn't do good.
There's been a few good weeks in there, but last year it was good every single week. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a lost year, looks like. Unless he
that's
finishes strong.
Yeah, that's injury news. Now we'll move on to some top trade targets. These are just a short list of guys that I think you should just try and trade for because they have good schedules going forward. And we did just talk about Darren Waller as kind of a lost season, but I think there will be some weeks at the end of the season where he will put up good numbers if he's back from being injured. This might be a good time to maybe do a little trade for him.
Gotcha.
But Elijah Mitchell, we were talking about him last week. We looked ahead. He has maybe the best schedule of any top running back the rest of the season. Just no good defenses that he's going to be playing the rest of the year. This is a guy that you just want to try and trade for if you can.
Okay.
And then Antonio Gibson, he's looking great the last couple of weeks.
What's that? Wait, say that again?
Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, remember when you were hating on my takes?
I wasn't hating on your takes. I just was worried.
You gotta trade for this guy.
I just was worried about his injury. I don't know. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, I get it. I just want to hear it again. You know, he looks great.
All right, yeah. Here,
it's gonna be really hard to get at this point, though.
I was wrong. You were right.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, he's looking great. Looking like that shin splint or whatever he had isn't bothering him too much anymore. Looking like he can be a nice guy to carry you to a championship, or at least help tremendously.
Dude, yeah, look at his schedule. Dallas twice. Okay, Dallas is a halfway good defense. Philly twice. That's not their okay defense, and the Giants. I think he could.
He's gonna have good weeks. He might squeak into the top 10 by the end of the season.
He's number 10 right now.
Oh, okay. So he'll probably, sustain that or move up a few spots, but
yeah, potentially.
And then Deandre Swift, this guy's hurt. This is the chance to try and trade for him. If, the team that owns him has a ton of injuries, might be looking to free up some space, get some healthy guys. This is the chance to trade for DeAndre Swift. He could be a very nice piece to help you, you could
actually get him, though. I feel like that's going to be
harder
than... I feel like people are higher in him than they are in Antonio Gibson.
It would be possible, I think. It would be possible if the situation has to be right. Like, the team that owns him has a ton of injuries and is just looking to field a healthy team. There are situations like that where you would be able to get him easier than maybe some other people's leagues if that's the situation in your league. It could happen.
But yeah, you're right up the schedule.
Yeah.
This guy's got the best one.
Swift.
Yeah. He didn't play week 13 here, but so next week's, you're not trading for next week. It's Denver, but then it's Arizona, Atlanta, Seattle, which Seattle would probably be your championship week in fantasy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
I was just kind of looking for the best schedules, and then same thing with my next guy, Mike Williams. I feel like out of everybody on this list, I feel like Williams is the guy that might be the most gettable on this list. He has a really good schedule moving forward as well. A guy that is possible to get because he's been kind of hot and cold the last month.
Yeah.
So I feel like you could get a trade for Mike Williams done, and I feel like he's gonna have some good weeks. Look at his schedule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, we talked about the Chargers last week on how they have such a great schedule going forward.
I just want to highlight that again. Next week they got Giants, then Kansas City, Then they're at Houston, and then championship week will be Denver. But I feel like though, I mean, have they already played Denver this year? Okay, he didn't do great against Denver.
He didn't do. It was week 12.
But week 17, they're at home. He usually has his weeks of where he goes off. Those are usually at home. So I don't know. I feel like he's a guy that could still help you. You know, he could be, if you have a very deep receiving core, he could be a very nice like flex option that could put you over the top.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like you could get this guy. So those are kind of my top 5 guys to trade for. If you're in like, if you have championship aspirations, you'd be making these trades. Like if you think you have a very strong team and you just want to go for it.
See if you can get Swift. That's for sure.
And then we'll move on now to buy low. You want to take a couple of these guys, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, DK Metcalf, I see you have him as a buy low here. I don't know, man. It seems like it's a lost year. Everyone was ready to peg him as the next Megatron, and maybe that was just a little too early, dude. He just looks like crap. For the past month, I don't know if he's playing hurt or what, but since coming back from the bye week, he's been horrible. Before that, he was like a top 10 wideout. Now he's just been... So yeah, I guess it's a buy low because of the upside, but I'm concerned that he's playing hurt or something.
Just, Jake, listen to their schedule the rest of the season with Russell Wilson starting to get back to form now after returning from his like finger injury. He's just getting healthier every week.
Yeah.
Their schedule the rest of the season at Houston next week. Mm-hmm. The Rams.
Oh, yeah.
Chicago. Championship week, Detroit. I don't know, Jake. I feel like this is a guy you could definitely get, and he could be a guy that helps you in the championship week. And even with him doing...
I try to trade for him. It just seems concerning because they just went off last week and he didn't do anything.
Because even with him struggling, he still averages 12 points, which is not terrible. And he's position rank 18.
No, you mean 12 yards per reception?
No, he averages 12 fantasy points in a PPR league. That's not terrible, you know. So even
over the past month, no.
Well, I'm just saying in general.
Okay.
And he had a good week, not a great week, but he had a good week this week where I think he's going to build off of that. So I don't know. I feel like he's a really good buy low because you're buying him really low, obviously. I just think that there's something left in the tank for that.
No, it's still going to cost a lot because of name value, and whoever you're trading with is probably not stupid. It's going to cost a lot, but you're hoping for a great last month. It's risky though. I like it. It's just not. You're not going to get them cheap.
Okay.
I don't know. You would have to offer like God, who's a wideout who has a hard schedule. You know what I mean? Like you're going to have to offer a guy of similar skill, but who has a worse schedule, and just you're basing it off of schedules at that point. I don't think you could just give like a T. Higgins, you know what I mean? I don't know if that would get it done. I'm just trying to do like a combo deal or like something.
I think maybe like T. Higgins and Zach Ertz would be a good trade for DK Metcalf.
Okay. I feel like that's...
You could try that, see if it would work. I'm just saying, just try and figure out a way, talk with whoever owns DK Metcalf and see if there's a chance you could get something done.
Yeah.
I think that would be beneficial to a championship team. And then next, James Robinson. Not a great game coming back from his injury. Had a fumble in like the first possession, and then he was kind of like benched to the backup running back for the rest of the game.
Oh, ouch.
Just because that's how Urban Meyer handles. He still acts like a college coach, and he'll bench guys that do mistakes like that. So it's kind of funny seeing him do the college thing in the NFL with all these older guys. So it's whatever. But I think you may be able to snag him because he's gonna have great weeks ahead, and I'm pretty sure, even if whatever their schedule may be going forward, he is the main guy on that team.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a good schedule, but the championship week would be
championship week's New England. Oh boy!
But you still want to win. I mean, you still obviously got to win your other playoff matchups.
Yeah, you still got to get there. So, and that's against Houston. Those would be against Houston and the New York Jets.
That'd be amazing.
I think he'll still be helping a championship team for sure.
Yeah.
So that's another one. It'll be hard to get him, but I think that there's conversations that could be had with the James Robinson owner.
Yeah, because he's not been lights out. So
yeah, and he missed a few weeks, and then he didn't look great when he did come back, and I'm sure a lot of people started him. So you gotta capitalize on that. And then next, similarly to James Robinson, but also not so similar at the same time, Michael Carter. He's on IR, so he's gonna miss another 2 weeks. Actually, I think another 1 week because it's retroactive to the week before that he missed. So I think he's missing one more week. He'll be back for the fantasy playoffs. Maybe a guy to trade for and stash if you have a free IR spot. He's really helping teams.
Too. People are dropping him. You could try to
because there's rumblings that he might miss the rest of the season, but that has not been announced yet. So I feel like with that worry, you could trade for him and maybe not have to give up as much.
Or just wait for the guy to drop him. He's already down 11.5%.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the people don't want to wait, like, you could just grab him for free.
Okay. I mean, there's also that to worry about as well. And then Zach Ertz didn't have his best game against Chicago. I mean, not a great game at all.
Okay.
But I feel like he's a guy that you could make a trade for if you really thin at time, put you over Indianapolis and Dallas would be the championship week. I feel like he's going to have lots of, good point getting weeks.
I mean, if you really need a tight end, otherwise I feel like he's ranked 11. I feel like you could just stream tight ends compared to him too.
You could, but I feel like he's got
what do you offer on that for him?
More upside than some of those other guys that could be available on waivers.
Yeah, potentially he does. Yeah.
So that's a guy that you
I wouldn't offer too much. What would you offer?
Yeah, I don't think you'd have to offer too much for him because he just had a bad week. So, this could be a guy that you could, if you're like, oh, I like that schedule, I need a tight end, this is a guy you could maybe seek out. And then next guy, Darnell Mooney, didn't have a great game against Arizona, but the Bears actually have a pretty decent schedule moving forward. I don't think Robinson's going to play the rest of the season. I think Darnell Mooney's the number one receiver. He's got speed. Looks like with whatever quarterback is playing, he's good. He's good with Dalton or good with Fields. Because just 2 weeks ago he had 150 yards with Dalton. So
121.
Yeah. So he had 200 yards with Dalton. So I feel like this is a guy that you could get. I don't think it's anybody that people wouldn't want to trade. I feel like this is a guy that could help you as a flex option, and I feel like he's a viable option. I don't know. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I try to grab him for cheap. Green Bay, Minnesota, Seattle, Giants. So it's not a bad
Green Bay game is the one game I thought might not be the greatest game to start him, but you're buying him for the playoff weeks, right?
Yeah, but if you're just not a fan of the QB situation, then don't. But if you're not worried about that, I think he's good. He's the number one now, and maybe Arizona is the first team to start learning. Watching the tape on him is the number one wideout, and he's more exposed now. That'd be the only worry, like they're able to cover him better. But
Right.
otherwise, yeah, I think he could finish better than 20. He's ranked 25 right now. I bet he could finish near 20.
Because championship week, that's against the Giants, and you'd have to imagine whether it's Dalton or Fields, the quarterback would have a good game that game.
Yeah, no, they definitely should.
So I'm just looking
I'd
ahead.
try to get him. I wouldn't try anything crazy. Maybe offer Devante Freeman.
That's another reason I like Darnell Mooney, because I feel like he's a guy you could make a nice trade for. I don't think it's anything you'd have to give up a ton,
Yeah, what's like an example, though, like that you would offer for Mooney?
So let me just take a quick look at one of my leagues here. If I was going to try and trade for Mooney, look at this super team. I don't even know, Jake.
Wow.
I might offer like Russell Gage for him.
What?
Just do a 1-for-1.
You don't like Gage better?
I think I like them about the same. Maybe not Gage, but just trying to think. Maybe I would offer like Zach Ertz, something like that for him. Just do trying to do like a 1-for-1. You have to give up something. Yeah, just
offer whatever you have more of. Like if you have extra running backs.
Yeah.
Offer a running back 1-for-1.
Right.
He's doing decent.
Next guy that I think you can definitely get, or even maybe find off of waivers soon, Cortland Sutton. Something's got to give with him. We're gonna keep talking about him until he does something. We're gonna die on this hill, as we've mentioned before.
Yeah.
But the Denver has a very nice schedule moving forward. If there's anything that you can say about trying to trade for Sutton, I think that he's gonna have some good weeks here.
He would be even easier to get than Mooney.
He'd be the easiest one to get on this whole list. But yeah,
I'd just offer a guy who just went off for 1 week. Who's decent name.
Maybe T. Higgins.
That might be a little steep, but because T. Higgins is the better quarterback, you know what I mean? So
right.
But yeah, ranked 37 on the year. The league I'm looking at, he might be different than the league you're looking at, Zach. But yeah, you could get this guy for next to nothing.
Possibly you could get him for nothing.
Yeah, if he gets dropped, he's a must-grab player.
He's still 80% owned, so a lot of people own him still. I just think that this is definitely a trade that could get done pretty easily.
Yeah. I don't know why they're not giving him more targets, though. That's a little concerning. When he gets the high, plus 10 targets, he's done great. It's just that he hasn't been getting that consistently, so... Yeah, I would just lowball offer, and if they don't take it, don't worry about it, but wait for a drop.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't give too much for this.
Mm-hmm. And then next guy, Kyle Pitts. We've been talking about him for a few weeks in a row now.
Yeah, what a disappointment.
Had a meh week this week. Not great, not completely awful. I think he's a gettable guy.
At this point, yeah, we talk about him as a buy low for over a month. And then he hasn't had a breakout game again in a while. We thought week 5 or week 7 he was finally here, and that was him the rest of the way. And then he just kind of has been meh this whole time. So I don't really know, and it's not a great schedule. So it's just if you need a tight end and you think he's got the most athletic talent over Ertz to go off. But a bit harder of a schedule. I don't know, man. It's hard to say. Because he's been bad, and he's been pretty mediocre now for a month and a half. Yeah, that's a long time. And it could just be the Matt Ryan situation, But, yeah, Carolina, San Francisco, Detroit, Buffalo. So the championship week would be against, the number 2 defense.
Okay.
But still, he could do great against Detroit and San Fran and Carolina. So
yeah, so I feel like there's a couple good weeks to at least help you get to the championship.
Yeah,
maybe you wouldn't.
There were some good weeks the past couple weeks, and he didn't do good. So I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know their story, man. Like if Gage starts doing better, it should open it up more for Pitts.
Right.
I don't know. It's just them improving as a team as a whole too.
Mm-hmm.
They've been so bad.
Just a good option for you to consider if you're looking for tight end.
Yep. Yeah, if you really need a tight end and there's no grabs.
And you might like him.
Ertz.
You might like trading for Pitts more than Ertz. That's just your personal preference. Try and get something done. I think it is possible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, buy low here, Kareem Hunt could be a guy to put you over the top heading into the fantasy playoffs. This guy's the best flex play in the league when he's healthy and going. He came back from injury, didn't do much, and then they had a bye week. So I feel like it'd take a lot still to get Hunt, but I feel like he is gettable with the right offer and the right situation in your league with the guy that owns him. A lot of things have to go well for you to try and get him.
Yeah.
But I think you can get him, and he would definitely help you on your way to a championship run.
Yeah, send a decent offer. Don't oversell, but like if you could offer T. Higgins for him, or T. Higgins and someone else, I'd try to get Hunt for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, I totally agree with that. Now we'll move on to sell high trade targets. We got a few guys here. First guy, we've been talking about him kind of over this whole episode so far, T. Higgins. He's had 2 good weeks in a row. Feel like you can try and capitalize off of that. Maybe try and get like a Darnell Mooney or Michael Carter or some combination of guys. I feel like you could use him and maybe, do a 1 for 2 or something like that,
Yeah, shoot higher. Shoot higher than Mooney, though, I think. Try to go a little higher just because he's had 2 really good weeks. Mm-hmm. You could go for an even bigger name.
Wonder if maybe you could go for like James Robinson or something.
Yeah, some of the higher guys we talked about on buy low are DK Metcalf.
Or maybe try and go for like DeAndre Swift or Mike Williams. It would
be like T. Higgins and another pretty good player to get DK.
Yeah.
If at all. But yeah, no, he's a sell high because he's the number 2, and he's been the number 1 the past 2 weeks, that's for sure. But eventually, I think it's going back to Jamar Chase.
It'll go back to Jamar Chase. Yeah.
Joe Burrow's guy.
Everybody has bad weeks, and he'll turn it around. Let me just take a quick look at their schedule going forward. T. Higgins on Cincinnati. They got next week San Francisco, then they're at Denver, then Baltimore and Kansas City. I mean, not a super hard schedule, but it's not the easiest schedule. I mean, Kansas City's defense has kind of quietly been turning it around lately. Mm-hmm. Baltimore's defense still has some Pro Bowl players on it. They've not had a great year. Denver's defense is always tough. I feel like this is definitely a sell high. It's not like he's got the easiest schedule going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, next we'll talk about Rob Gronkowski. I think this is kind of more of a fringe sell high. This is a guy that you could also probably feel good about keeping too.
If he was your number 2 tight end, I would sell him just because of the injury risk, and you might probably have a better guy, and whoever grabbed him at the beginning of the year, it was kind of a free grab before we thought he was going to go off or end a draft. But yeah, I would sell high in his 2 good weeks here based on injury. But for fantasy playoffs, he does have a good schedule. Week 15, New Orleans. Week 16, Carolina. Week 17, New York Jets. So if he can keep up the pace, he's great for the playoffs. But I usually don't like to run a tight end in my flex position, run 2 tight ends. So
Right. Next guy, sell high, Javonte Williams, running back on the Broncos, went off this week as the clear number 1 because Melvin Gordon was hurt this week. So he just got all the targets, all the volume, and of course he did great. But Melvin Gordon will come back, and they'll be split sharing again. So I don't think there's going to be this type of weeks ahead, so I feel like this is the chance.
Unless the team is just trying to go younger, right? And they're just
Right.
tested him out.
But
I haven't heard anything about that.
Even so, I feel like he's still a good sell high that can get you something. Maybe you can use him and someone else to get like Elijah Mitchell or Antonio Gibson or Deandre Swift, something like that, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
And then Devonta Freeman. He's been shooting up the ownership ranks over the last couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Had a great game this week. He's looking like the clear number one back in Baltimore. They're just going to keep riding him. I feel like that's what they've been doing this whole season. I feel like he's a good sell high too because you can point to a number of weeks where he's just been very consistent.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's their clear number one back for sure now. You know, it was up in the air before, but he's become their workhorse, and I think he's valuable enough to include in a trade package. You're going to have to include him with somebody else. This isn't
Right.
like a one-for-one guy. Unless maybe you could get Sutton from him, but you probably have to include him as like an extra little spice to the deal. You know what I mean?
Right.
For any kind of trade you're trying to get through. But
And
yeah,
then,
I'd for sure sell high.
Okay. And then next, Devonta Parker, receiver on Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Came back from injury, had a nice week. Kind of been doing what he does and just, getting you that solid 9-10 points. Feel like he is a guy that...
I don't know how much you're going to get from him, but...
I just feel like it's worth, maybe you can put him as a throw.
Him.
You could throw him in as a second guy in a trade,
Yeah, and I would throw him on the scoop him ups because he's 55% owned or 54, and he's got a bye week, so he'll be well rested for the fantasy playoffs, which is week 15 Jets, week 16 New Orleans, week 17 Tennessee Titans. So I think that'd be a great grab if he's not already owned in your league.
Okay, yeah. So that at 55%, yeah, like Jake's saying, that's worth it. Just go check, see what the deal is with him if you can get him. But yeah, just either scoop him up or maybe try and include him in a trade to get something big, like maybe him and Javonte Williams could get you Antonio Gibson or DeAndre Swift,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then lastly on sell high here, Miles Sanders.
Yeah, I said a couple good weeks in a row, but we've talked about how the team just switches up their running backs, and even though this is supposed to be their pure starter, it hasn't been the case, and this is actually his best week of the year. But it's going into a bye week, so it might be hard to sell him during the bye week, but it might have to be after week 14. But I would try to sell.
Yeah.
See what you can get. This is another guy who would have to be like a combo deal because nobody's like a true believer right now. But he had 120 yards against the Jets, and that was pretty amazing. So,
okay.
And he caught some passes. I don't know what you could get necessarily. This might just be another guy I'll throw him in the trade.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all the sell highs. Now we'll move on to we'll wrap this up here with scoop 'em up.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my top scoops for this week is Travis Homer. Looks like he, at least for the time being, is the number one running back on Seattle. Did a really good job this week. Feel like he's clearly the guy to be going to put the claim in for this week.
Yeah, but it was only 3 carries. So it was just one breakout run. Is that what it was? For a touchdown? I'm a little concerned about that. I'm not quite sure. Who else did they run at running back?
They have Rashad Penny. Might be coming back. Adrian Peterson, who got most of the carries.
DJ Dallas. DJ Dallas didn't even carry, so they just weren't running at all. Yeah, Adrian Peterson got the most carries, but yeah, like you said, he's not a must grab because he's just he's a touchdown back. Just people picked him up for that. You know what I mean?
So I don't know. I feel like Travis Homer would be worth a nice little ad. It's kind of if you're in a competitive league, and in a deep league, I think it would be a good move.
Yeah, I agree.
Next on the list, Deontay Harris just went off for New Orleans this week. I feel like he's a good ad. Looks like he's the number one receiver right now.
Mm-hmm. It says suspended. What happened? He will be suspended for the next 3 games, stemming from his DWI arrest in July. Oh, okay. Well, that just happened today, dude. So right before the podcast. So
take him off the list.
Yeah, do not pick this guy up.
Okay, so next on the list, Kenneth Gainwell had a good week for Philly. I feel like that's a good ad. He might be the number one ad then.
Oh, yeah, it's just like we're concerned about the team and how they use their running backs, and they're going into a bye week, so I wouldn't say he's your number one ad, especially if you need a win.
Mm-hmm.
I say he's a good ad, though, if you're like a team that for sure making the playoffs, and you can wait till the next couple weeks. But yeah, I've always liked him, and we talked about him earlier in the season, because we thought he would take over when Miles Sanders first went down, and then it ended up being the other running backs,
right?
Scott and Jordan Howard. But I mean, this is their prized guy, I thought, and they were hyping him up before the season. Maybe this is finally where they start focusing Gainwell, unless like the rest of the year they're just doing that where they play the hot hand. But I think he's a great grab, especially if you're weak at running back. I'd try to get Gainwell. Just for if you need a guy for week 14 though, the coming week, maybe put him as like your second waiver, or wait to grab, because maybe people won't even be using waivers because it's a bye week.
Right. And then next guy, I think this guy could be worth an ad too. It looks like he's coming into his own. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think could be a nice ad though. Rookie receiver on Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
He might be a sneaky ad. You might not even have to get him. Like, you might be able to just re-add him on Wednesday. So
yeah, so Cephas is an IR. Is Khalif Raymond still the number one over him, or is it just kind of up in the air?
It's just kind of all over the place.
Okay.
Jared Goff's been throwing it to like everybody pretty evenly. So
this guy's a chance to take over for the second half of the season.
I think number one targets is still Hawkinson. So all the receivers is just kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And since
this guy had a lot of targets though. He had 12 targets.
A lot of targets, scored a touchdown. So maybe Goff's going to keep going to him now. You know.
Yeah, this is definitely a deep league move, like Zach said, competitive leagues, because it is Detroit, but he's looking promising.
And then, obviously, we've been talking about this guy in past episodes, Russell Gage. Just go out and get him. Just do it. Put the claim in, get him if he's available.
Okay.
And then lastly,
Gage is a must-add at this point.
Oh, yeah.
It might be the best one, because a lot of people have been grabbed up to this point.
Right.
We talked about before.
So go do the check on Russell Gage. Get him on your teams. He could really help you.
25% owned.
Exactly. So we still that's why we're still mentioning him. He's still very low owned, which is gonna shoot up. I guarantee you by next week he'll be up to over 50%. I would imagine.
Yeah.
And then lastly, this is a very deep league move here, but Jakeem Grant, he's kind of like looking like the number 2 wide receiver right now. With I don't think Allen Robinson's coming back, and Marquise Goodwin.
Chicago?
Marquise Goodwin just missed this game. It looks like he's going to be out a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Jakeem Grant's the number 2 receiver, getting some targets, getting some catches. And he also gets you the punt return points as well. So with the fact that he's getting catches as well, I think makes him a nice, viable, deep league option. If you really need a receiver, I mean, Christ. But if he's going to get you some points, points are points.
Yeah, what about Sony Michelle? Are you grabbing Sony Michelle?
The only thing about Sony Michelle is he's going to be the backup because Henderson's going to be back next week.
But if he had a good week, would they use him more? Like, would they start doing committee?
I don't know.
They need wins. Like, they're just going to go with whatever gets them a win, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe he'll start. Maybe Sony Michelle will get some more volume now that he had a good week. Maybe they'll be using more of a 2 running back thing, maybe more of a split. But I think that would be a move you wouldn't have to put a claim in for. I don't think a lot of people would put a claim in for a guy that's going to be the backup now.
Yeah, not your main grab, but
yeah,
looking pretty good.
Okay.
And then, what about Taysom Hill? I mean, if he didn't throw, I don't know if they'll keep starting him going forward, but okay, he injured his finger. We'll attempt to play through it. But anyway, everyone knows he's a dual threat quarterback who can run it in, and that's what saved him this week because he had 4 interceptions, but he still had 20 fantasy. He still had 20 fantasy points.
Yeah.
So if he can clean up the picks, I mean, that's a good fantasy quarterback that you could add to your bench.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll keep starting him when the other guy's back though. I was just thinking, could be a grab.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so is there anybody else you're thinking of, Jake, or is this curtains?
I'm just kind of looking through. I just want to make sure we have it all covered for everybody. But yeah, biggest grabs are Gainwell, Gage. Who would you say your third pick is, Zach?
Yeah, so Gainwell, Gage, and I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is my third.
Okay, taking the risk for sure.
Yeah, I'll take the risk. I mean, at this point, risks win championships a lot of the time, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I don't see anyone else who's like that I'm confident in. I'm looking through still.
Yeah, Travis Homer I was pretty confident in, but...
This is one that might be... We talked about him last week, but Chuba Hubbard, he's on his bye week during this week, but he'll be the main back for Carolina starting next week, so he's already up to 55% owned, but if you could still get him...
Yeah, do the go and check.
The other guy we talked about last week, Kendrick Bourne, who's playing tonight.
Yeah.
He's still only 33% owned.
So definitely go get Kendrick Bourne. I can't believe he's still only 33% owned. He's their number 1 receiver.
And so it's a lot of guys from last week had buys or didn't play yet, but Dontrell Hilliard for Tennessee was on bye week. So he wasn't super grabbed, so he's only 35% owned.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 of the main targets we talked about last week are still on this list. Like, you got to go get them.
Yeah.
And 30% owned, I mean, even if you're in a competitive league, that's still available. I mean, you got to argue that more than 50% of leagues are competitive, right? So I think it could still be available in your league. I would go grab them right now. I mean, wow. I can't believe all those guys are available in this league, but this is a 10-team. I'm looking at a 10-team just to see more of those options that are out there to make sure we didn't miss anybody. But yeah, those 3 guys from last week add to the list. Okay.
Well, if that's it, Jake, I think, is that curtains then?
Yeah, that was good episode, man. Hopefully we helped you guys out.
Yeah.
Some trade options and guys with their schedules, great trade options, and then must-grab players.
Yeah, and then also just be sure to follow us on all our social media. We have Facebook.com/Garden of Sports Podcast. We have Instagram.com/Garden of Sports. We have Twitter.com, Twitter.com/GOSPod2021. And the links to all of those are on our YouTube page. And yeah, just go follow us on there for all the updates on our growing community. And thank you so much for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.